Hi, it was mentioned earlier that Warren Buffett had warned against the financial crisis as early as 2003, and in recent, I guess early this week, he's been investing in GE and now in Goldman Sachs. Is that potentially a good thing for the average American to do, or should we hold out and see what happens?
He bought some preferred stock from General Electric. Now, in both cases, he got a 10% dividend yield on his preferred stock. And you know, the nice thing about preferred stock is you get paid before the common shareholders get paid. So it's kind of like being between a debt holder and a common equity holder. 10% return, presumably on blue chip companies, is a heck of a deal. And on top of that, he received warrants in both cases to buy stock in those companies, and the warrants were in the money. In other words, he could buy substantial amounts of stock in both companies at a price lower than those stocks were trading at.
If we need to finance this bailout plan, will that inherently decrease the value of the dollar? If it does, and we still have a recession, don't we run the risk of stagflation? If stagflation occurs, will essentially we be in a worse position, or it could potentially be in a worse position than we are in today?
The question really is, are the Asians going to remain confident in our financial system? Are they going to be willing to keep buying those dollar assets? And as long as they do, we're okay, as long as we can maintain that confidence on their part. If suddenly the Japanese, the Chinese, and the sovereign wealth funds, the OPEC money, decides that the dollar is not the place to be, and a second condition, they can find somewhere else to go, then we're in trouble. The dollar would depreciate at the same time that interest rates are rising here. The housing market is kicking us into a recession. Oil prices would go up. And that would be probably not the stagflation in the 1970s. I don't think the Fed would allow that to happen, but it'd be a very tough time.
I'm an engineering student, don't know much about anything. Consider myself the average person who kind of ran over when I heard this was going on. My question has more to do with the confidence of you guys in the Treasury, the Secretary of the Treasury. I mean, Paulson, is he not just Paulson, but the position itself. It seems that there's a lot of responsibility in what he has to do with this bill. I hear you guys talking about that it's a decision that the Treasury Secretary is going to make or something. How much confidence do you have in the person in that position? And mainly, should we trust Paulson in general for these things?
We know he's a pretty bright guy. We know that. Tell truthfully, I wouldn't want to be here because you're going to have congressional oversight on this thing, right? Now you can imagine sometimes he's going to pay too much, sometimes he's going to pay too little, and Lord help him if he pays too much to somebody he kind of likes. He probably won't have the job in a few months, and he might be grateful that he doesn't. One thing that has occurred to me, I know, people keep wondering, are they going to get the money back? Warren Buffett made a comment that he felt this was going to be a wonderful deal for the government, that they were going to make all kinds of money on this thing, and that he wished he had the capital to do it, but he was all tapped out. I don't think he was all tapped out, as evidenced by his deals with General Electric and Goldman. But what would be a very interesting idea, I don't think would ever go anywhere, would be to say, okay, Warren, I got a proposition for you. We're going to put up $700 billion. Why don't you put up, say, 2%, and we'll have you manage it. We'll have a private entity manage this, and we'll give you 3% of the profits. I'd rather have it that way than the Treasury Secretary.